This is Money, Motivation, and Mike. And I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of the show is Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that will change your life. Jason, I'm coming at us today with a subject of Cornelius Crane Chase, better known as Chevy Chase.
That's how I know him.
Yes, he is of interest right now because a documentary just came out January the 1st. I am Chevy Chase and you're not. Now that sounds pretty harsh. And frankly, after doing all of the research I have done on Chevy Chase, I think that's kind of the way he lived. Hit you right between the eyes. And it kind of hurt me to do some of this research because Chevy Chase is my all-time favorite comedian. And I have went back and watched 1975, 1976 reruns of Saturday Night Live, which a lot of people think he was a major player there for quite some time on Saturday Night Live. But his run, it did stretch over 1975 and 76, but he basically was only on Saturday Night Live, the original crew, for about a year because his fame during that 1 year propelled him into movies quickly. So he's an original member and his name is embedded in Saturday Night Live. A lot of people associate Saturday Night Live with Chevy Chase. Not necessarily Chevy Chase with Saturday Night Live, but he was only on there a year plus.
Is that right?
Yeah, not over where during that original cast that included Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and Jim Belushi. None of them. John Belushi, excuse me. None of them. I mean, they were all on there for quite some time. So the documentary's coming out, and the documentary has created some controversy, or at least let's just say some scuttlebutt to talk about, because there are numerous people who did not want to be interviewed for the documentary because their lack of love for none other than Chevy Chase. But
didn't have much good to say about him, sounds like.
So they didn't want to talk at all.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the last sitcom, Community, started in 2009 when Chase returned to NBC for the sitcom Community. And he played a tycoon there that was very rich and et cetera. And that show was created by Dan Harmon, but it starred Joe McHale, Allison Brie, Gilligan Jacobs, Donald Glover, and Danny Pudi, along with Yvette Brown, of which none wanted to be interviewed for I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not. Tells you a whole lot about it. Matter of fact, he went off that show after 4 years, and I'll get into that momentarily. But Chevy Chase, and a lot of the movies that I love, he was the star attraction.
Yeah.
But you know, there's also people like Beverly D'Angelo in The Vacations that loved Chevy Chase and was willing to be a part of whatever, had a lot of good things to say. Steve Martin, another one of the comedians out there that had lots of good things to say about Chevy Chase. But he's like a lot of people who carry the title of the dude or the dudette. They come with a different persona. They come with a different personality. But as we know, Chevy Chase's breakout cast role was he was the first season of Saturday Night Live, like I say, in 1975 and 76, where this is interesting, where he came up with his reoccurring role of the Weekend Update. You know where they do the news?
Yeah.
And that Weekend Update is still a part of Saturday Night Live today. And Chevy Chase created that. And you go back and watch some of those things, and Gerald Ford, you know, they're always picking on the politicians. Gerald Ford was the president at that time, and Gerald Ford loved it so much he had him into the White House. And, you know, not so many nice things to be said sometimes about those politicians. But the weekly update segment became a staple of the show, which, like I say, is still there tonight. And as a performer and a writer, because he wrote for Saturday Night Live too, he earned 2 Emmy Award nominations. Yes. Excuse me. He won 2 Emmy Awards out of 4 nominations in one season on Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's getting after it.
Yeah.
And that was that was a big deal. But, after leaving Saturday Night Live early in that second season, he established himself as a leading man and starring in some of the most successful comedy films of all time. Not the 1980s, with Golden Globe nominations and right on down the play. Now, the first big movie that I remember him in is from 1978 in Foul Play. That was a great show, and I believe Goldie Hawn was his sidekick in that particular show. But what really launched him off into orbit was playing Ty Webb in Caddyshack. One of my favorite movies of all time, Caddyshack. And he was definitely the attraction. And you think about this. Him and Bill Murray didn't get along. Bill Murray was on Saturday Night Live. And then here comes Rodney Dangerfield. That was the first time Rodney Dangerfield had ever done a movie. Okay. Those guys are a bunch of crack ups. I mean, who is the biggest comedian of those comedians? And then you got Ted Knight over here, who has no humor in a comedian. It was a difficult thing for them to get along. Another side bit to that: the golf course down in South Florida where they filmed Caddyshack. And they rented out that golf course, struggling golf course. Obviously, you come in and you offer them some big money. They think about all the things they can do, and they'll be willing to shut down for some time while you make that movie. They did not know they were going to blow up the golf course there at the end.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
No, that is this true story. So,
and already paid their dues, eh?
Yeah, probably money in advance.
Yeah.
And
stuck with it.
Yes. So Caddyshack in 1980, and then of course everyone, Clark Griswold. I mean, I have a hockey Clark Griswold jersey, Jason, and in 3 National Lampoon Vacation films from 83 to 89. Now, whenever this particular article, the information I said 3. Now you think about this: Vacation, Christmas Vacation, which was just as good, European Vacation. All right, into the 90s. Vegas Vacation.
Yeah.
So that's probably what we're talking about there. And then we go to Fletch. Irwin Fletcher in Fletch in 1985, and then again Fletch Lives in 1989. Now, remember, Fletch was a newspaper article writer for the news, for the local newspaper. I think it was the LA Times, because remember the LA Lakers were in that show. But that famous line, "Put it on the Underhills," where he is at the tennis club, and every time he needed something, he said, "Put it on the Underhills." That's your saying that people still use now when somebody comes up, "Hey, who do I need? Whose account do I need to charge this to?" I put it on the Underhills, because that's what Chevy Chase did, was put it on the Underhills.
I've heard it and never knew where it came from.
And that's where it comes from. Fletch. Good stuff right there. Spies Like Us, 1985. Loved that. Three Amigos, 86. And here's the one that most people know about: Funny Farm in 89. Have you ever seen Funny Farm?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Where
he's the writer and he's in a funk and all that other stuff.
Got writer's block.
Yeah. And, and here we go with, some definitely negativity over the last couple of months coming up to that I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not documentary. He hosted the Academy Awards in 87 and 88, back-to-back years, which is unique in itself. How about that?
I like it.
So, right off the bat with the with the Saturday Night Live stuff, his first film was Tunnel Vision, 1976. I've never heard of it. By the way, Foul Play was a big hit. Foul Play in 1978 made $44 million in 1976.
Wow. That's actually pretty good.
WOW right there. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, here's another tidbit that I did not know, and I love this. Okay. The role of Eric Stratton. It was an Animal House. Okay. Eric Stratton was the rush chairman for the fraternity of Animal House. That role was made for Chevy Chase. He turned it down to do Foul Play. So you ever heard Eric Stratton, rush chairman? Damn glad to meet you. That comes from Animal House.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've watched Animal House, but I was a young lad.
Hey, I'll have to tell you, I've made many restaurant reservations in the name of Eric Stratton.
I like it.
Eric Stratton, rush chairman, damn glad to meet you. Now, that role ended up going to Tim Matheson, and he did a good job. But Chase, in an interview, said he turned it down to do Foul Play because he wanted a more serious acting role than the comedianship that he had been in. Now, if he had been in Animal House, and like I say, Tim Matheson did a great job. If he'd have been in Animal House, it would have put it into astro orbit, up by the moon type stuff, because he would have hit that role so well. And then you bring that Chevy Chase name with it, that would have been mega primo stuff. And frankly, it may have demolished Foul Play, but it would have just taken National Lampoon's Animal House to another level. Now, back to what I was saying in 2009, when he went and started the NBC sitcom Community and the folks that were on there. Throughout the filming, and here we go with some of the negativity, Jason. Throughout the filming of Community, Chase began increasingly uncomfortable with the direction of Pierce. That was the role he played, the character. It was reported that in 2012, Chase had an outburst on set, yelling and continued at Donald Glover and Yvette Nicole Brown's characters using the N-word.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, Chase later apologized for the outburst. Now, originally, they asked him to apologize, and he said, what for? That didn't go over very well. Yeah. So then it leaked out of the studio to what had happened and the verbiage that he had used. And soon after his apology, Chase left the show. Now, he says it was due to increasing disagreements with his character and with the show's creator, Dan Harmon. And they parted ways. But most people would tell you it's because he could not get along with the cast. And, of course, the outburst that he had did not help very well. And, of course, using the N-word kind of put it over the top. So they killed off Pierce very, very quickly, actually on the third episode into the fifth season. Now, he has had some major issues with drug and alcohol abuse. And he does give credit to his wife, Susan, for basically pulling him out of everything that he was in back in those days. 1986, he was admitted to the Betty Ford Clinic for treatment of prescription painkiller with addiction drugs. His use began after he experienced ongoing back pain related to falls that he took during Saturday Night Live appearances. And 2010, he said that the drug abuse was on a low level, but whether it's on a low level or high level, it was big enough for you to go to the Betty Ford Clinic. All right. And then in 2016, he entered Hazelden Clinic for treatment to alcoholism. Now, another tidbit here for you, going back to Caddyshack in 1980, and this would probably been the filming was in 79. A hurricane hit Florida while they're down there filming Caddyshack. Back in those days, they'd put the cast and crew up in hotel rooms, just regular, probably motel rooms, not hotels, motels.
Gotcha.
And of course, they going back and forth to each other's rooms, and that cast and crew set in the hotel rooms, the motel rooms, smoke what I call dope, marijuana, for 3 days, and rode out the hurricane, and then went back to recording and acting. So, there you go.
Fantastic.
Oh, isn't it?
Can you imagine?
Now, he also on with his health. He had a near-death experience while working on the set of Modern Problems in 1981. An electrical current went through Chase's arm, back, and neck muscles when the lights short-circuited while filming a scene. Also in 2021, Chase was put into a medically induced coma for 8 days following heart failure. Now, I don't remember that. He spent 5 weeks in the hospital. Yeah. And it was just noted at undisclosed issues with his heart. But he spent 5 weeks in the hospital. Before filming the 3rd season episode of Saturday Night Live in 1978, Chase got into a fist fight with Bill Murray in John Belushi's dressing room. It occurred when Chase returned to host the show. Now, he'd been gone. Okay, so we're all growing up here in comedy, you know. You go and I'll sit in the crowd and clap, and then I'll go and you sit in the crowd and clap, and we're all growing up here together. And then Chevy goes into Saturday Night Live and just blows it up, makes, turns it into big time stuff, and then he goes on to Hollywood. Because remember, Saturday Night Live is in New York.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then he goes out there and makes the shows, and such a big time deal. Saturday Night Live wants to get part of that fame, so they brought him back in the 3rd season to host the show. That did not set very well with the ones that were still there, which was Jane Curtin. She was the lady, and Gilda Radner. They were all there, and they witnessed this particular fist fight. But it occurred when Chase returned to host the show. And this was after his exit as a full-time cast member in 1976, of course, Murray had reportedly made a derogatory comment about Chase's troubled marriage, leading Chase to criticize Murray's physical appearance. And then they got it on. So, now I have heard that they have since reconciled. But remember, in 1980, Chase and Murray were both on the Caddyshack set together. Harold Ramis doing the show Caddyshack. So it must have not been particularly bad. But I guess every time you're going to blows, it's not the best either. But nevertheless, the big tidbit here that I've talked about is that he was almost in Animal House. And I think that was pretty cool. But some other stuff that we went through here, 1997, I think I said 1999. 1997 is when Vegas Vacation come out. But listen at this stretch right here, Jason, from 85 to 89. Spies Like Us, Three Amigos, The Couch Trip, Funny Farm, Caddyshack 2. That was a bust. Awful. He only had a cameo appearance in that. Fletch Lives, Christmas Vacation. All those shows he did. Fletch, European Vacation. All those shows were done from 85 to 89. That's getting after it.
Yeah.
And I mean, just like, did you ever go home?
Yeah, he was the hot stuff at that time.
He was big time. And like I say, there is definitely negativity to go around here with, especially whenever you were just on a show 10 years ago and none of the cast wants to come out and be a part of your documentary, which is a little disturbing. But nevertheless, you can't get along with everybody, I guess. Of course, the politicians can, but there you go. And It is a little. I thought Chevy Chase was just perfect, and when I'm growing up with Chevy Chase and these shows that we've been talking about, and I'm comparing him to the '70s, the Richard Pryors, the Red Fox, and then of course to me the next big star on Saturday Night Live was Eddie Murphy. Yeah. And then he takes that off into the Beverly Hills Cop and all that stuff.
And that's more my era. It's where I'm coming of age to.
That when you're starting to get involved?
Yeah. Now, I've watched Chevy Chase, plenty of his films growing up, but I was very young doing it. So. Well,
we just had our Christmas talk here in the last couple of weeks, and you think about it. That Christmas Vacation show is up there at the all-time start.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to be watching that for a long time.
For sure.
And that's good stuff. Most people would have to go pull up Fletch. Most people would have to go pull up Vegas Vacation. But Christmas Vacation is going to be shown on reruns every year. Every year.
I have to wonder if the social media of today was a thing back when in his prime. How would that have affected his career?
Yeah, I got one better for you than that. How would social media have affected Babe Ruth's career in the 1920s? Because he was a Playboy 101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of those people we look up to at this point, if social media was a thing back in the day, they might have had a different light shine on them. And who knows how we would feel about some of our heroes.
Well, Chevy Chase is a diehard liberal.
Yeah.
And if you sit there and you watch TV and you think about what they do off the screen, you probably never watch TV again.
Yeah.
You never go to another movie. If you knew what that athlete did in their off time, you'd never watch a ball game. So to me, you got to separate that stuff or you're going to be very bored.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people may start looking at you as well and what you do and what you don't do. Because for every viewpoint that you have and you think the other side of that viewpoint's crazy, they think the same thing about you.
Yeah.
Who has the majority? So nevertheless, there is Chevy Chase, who I believe is going to have his share of publicity and at least conversations over the next month due to the fact of his documentary coming out. Just like here over the last month, and I didn't touch on this, and I kind of wanted to, which was the Charlie Sheen documentary. Now, what you like most about these documentaries is the total transparency of them talking about who they really are or were. And they're not hiding anything. They're not taking the documentary and trying to make themselves better than what is perceived. And we know that Charlie Sheen over the last decade has taken it on the chin many, many times, from 2.5 Men right on down, and ex-wives and children and everything else. I'm anxious to see if Chevy Chase can humble himself to tell the story about who he is. Lots of good. There's going to be some bad. Can you deal with both, and can you talk about both? Always contact us, info@mx3.vip, and find all of our content on mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@mx3 Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which Jason puts out every Monday and Thursday mornings around 9 o'clock. So, for Chevy Chase and everyone who's been a part of this show, continue to live your life the right way.